Okay, wasn't you just talking to her? Can she provide all them information to you?
Well, let me ask you this. What I was just talking to her. What if she told me that you beat the out of her and you jumped on top of her and started punching her in the face? Should I just go ahead and take that?
Okay, but don't you know?
It's your side of the story. Give your side.
These prescriptions, but you want to be great. Being great is really pushing the envelope. You know what I'm saying?
Following his alleged arrest and the cancellation of the Jake Paul fight, Gervonta Davis has spoken out. A new civil action alleging significant domestic violence episodes has been filed against Tank. Jake Paul's November 14th event is in jeopardy as promoters look into it, and his team and coach have only provided a few public responses thus far.
So, by all means, if you make a few quid and nobody gets hurt, then great. But I certainly wouldn't be paying a penny to watch it. I think it's just absolutely ridiculous, farcical. Who wants to watch an exhibition? Gervonta Davis is in his prime years. Why is he wasting his time? Why is he not having a rematch with the fella he got a draw with? Why is he not fighting? Why is he not going up a weight and fighting Lopez and Garcia's and them fighters? Why is he fighting Jake Paul in an exhibition? I get the money's great, but he's in the prime years. This is his best year. This is where he can become. Maybe you don't want to be an all-time great. Maybe you don't want to do all that. So maybe just want.
Davis is charged with battery, aggravated battery, false confinement, kidnapping, and purposeful infliction of mental distress in a civil complaint filed in Miami-Dade. Accusations that would be devastating for his career and the law if they were accurate. This is a civil case, according to the most recent reports. This complaint has not yet resulted in the filing of any new criminal charges.
WBC lightweight world champion Gervonta Tank Davis was arrested earlier this week for closed fist slapping his daughter's mother. What's a closed fist slap? Is it like this? Bro, you can't be closed fist slapping women. You can't be slapping women at all. But don't you know your hand is like Thor's hammer? Bro, you can go to jail for even flicking somebody, man. Don't you got a fight coming up? Or are you trying to ruin your career?
There isn't currently a lengthy public statement from Davis outlining his position. Rather, his inner circle was the first to respond publicly. Davis is doing well, according to his coach, and they are working to determine what's causing it. A brief, circumspect answer that keeps the fighter out of the spotlight while the promotional and legal teams work out the specifics. Following the lawsuit, Jake Paul's most valuable promotions openly acknowledged that they had started an internal probe. The battle is theoretically still scheduled, but it may be cancelled or postponed based on the findings of the investigation. Their statement stated that they condemn all forms of violence, that they are gathering information, and that they will decide on the next course of action after a thorough examination. According to insiders, the event scheduled for November 14th is probably being cancelled rather than postponed. I've heard that it's being postponed, as Dame Mara stated on the X update. I'm unsure of the exact date, but I'm very sure the event scheduled for November 14th has been cancelled. The State Farm Arena in Atlanta was originally scheduled to host the bout, but Miami was ultimately chosen as the location. The combination seems ideal for the attention economics of today. A prize boxer versus a social media celebrity. Viral marketing meets traditional boxing strength.
When a fairly novice Jake Paul made a wish list of future opponents, and right in the middle of that list was Gervonta Tank Davis. Many laughed at the time, and some still can't believe we're here. But these two young men are the face of boxing for Gen Z and Gen Alpha. They are the two biggest boxers in America, and they are putting it all on the line. One has the speed, the skill, the accuracy, and the one-punch knockout power. The other has the size, the force, and the unbreakable confidence to make this must-see Netflix. The size difference is...
Additional intrigue was added by the rules and context. Paul, who had drifted into cruiserweight territory, would take on Davis, a lightweight champion accustomed to fighting at 135 to 140 pounds. Among other things, the press conference disclosed that the maximum weight would be 195 pounds and 12 ounces of gloves. A sellout may have solidified this battle as one of the year's must-see bouts because Davis openly questioned the rules, the size difference, the novelty, and the promotional extravaganza.
I want to watch is Tank Davis versus Jake Paul. I want Tank Davis to knock his block off. I'm sick of the Paul brothers, both of them. I can't stand either one of them. And I know I'll get pounded with emails. He's jealous. No, I'm not jealous of them. I could care less how much money they make. I don't like their attitude. I don't like the way they conduct themselves. I don't like the way they think. You know.
After a contentious majority draw in their first bout, Davis and Roach were initially scheduled for a rematch. It was thought that by resolutely winning the sequel, Davis would make amends with Roach and solidify his legacy. However, Davis's team reassessed when the chance to face Jake Paul presented itself, offering a significantly higher salary and global recognition. According to reports, Davis might receive about $50 million for the fight with Paul. Smith's remarks brought attention to the changing objectives in contemporary boxing, even if he didn't directly criticize the decision. High-profile crossover bouts that draw enormous pay-per-view numbers frequently take precedence over contests that define a legacy. In addition to showcasing his abilities, Davis hopes to win over a global fan base that goes well beyond traditional boxing circles in the Jake Paul battle.
Don't ever fight no Shakur Stevenson, no Keyshawn Davis, no Teofimo Lopez, no none of them dudes. You know what I'm talking about? We gotta think and look at Tank Davis' whole career. He done made some bread, but at the end of the day, all that bread that he made, when it's all said and done, he ain't gonna get no respect from his peers, because we gonna look down his resume and we gonna be like, he was trash, he was some trash, he was some trash, he was alright, but he was never like that. He was okay, he was some trash, he was some trash.
Carl Froch, the former world champion, was forthright in his opinion, describing the scenario as a complete farce. Froch claimed that negotiations for a fight between Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua were almost complete, with the deal being roughly 99% complete. Yet, Paul chose to take on Davis, who is practically half his size, rather than a heavyweight titan like Joshua. This choice baffled Froch, who interpreted it as evidence that Jake prioritizes shock value over real competitiveness. Froch's comments support the view held by many boxing insiders that Paul picks opponents strategically in order to maximize attention and minimize risk. It would have been really difficult to defeat Joshua, but defeating Davis makes for a spectacle.
He's in a division where he's got killers all in his division. You know, Shakur, Haney, who's 147. You know, you look at Tio, for example, Keyshawn, and then you choose to fight someone like Paul. Surely that's a concern when you do look at it like that.
Yeah, but again, it's the world we're in. If you can get a huge amount of money to fight someone who's never boxed really before, you're going to do it. You know. Floyd Mayweather boxed Logan Paul with a huge weight disparity.
He was done by then.
He
was done. Like, this is an active world champion.
But it's the world we're in.
Yeah.
And that's the truth. Now, when it comes down to it, it's just like Conor McGregor fighting Floyd Mayweather. Two completely different sports. Was the biggest pay-per-view in recent times, wasn't it? Maybe if ever.
Those are like different comparisons, though, if you think about it. Do you not like?
Yeah, but the sport's in a wild place, isn't it? That's just, like, I'm just like the reality of where we are. You know. And I can't really say much when we're talking about Jake Paul fighting Anthony Joshua at the same time.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you think Tank should get stripped of his title?
Yeah, I think anyone who, just in general, doesn't defend their title to do something else should get stripped, because it shouldn't hold the belts up. You know, in any, like, I think that should be the reality in anything. You know, if you're not going to defend your belts, or you're not defending, sometimes there's the rules. Obviously, if you fight for a belt at a higher weight, you can retain the belt until there. If you're don't have intention of defending the belts, you shouldn't hold the belts up. People should get the opportunity to fight.
What happened with the failed negotiations between AJ and Jake Paul?
I think anything's still possible. That was always discussed for next year. You know, this fight's November, early part of next year.
In the meantime, Most Valuable Promotions co-founder Nakisa Badarian has boldly responded to worries regarding Jake Paul's physical edge over Gervonta Davis. He maintains that a fighter like Davis won't be defeated by size, pointing out that Paul only needs the bigger catch weight because to his relative inexperience. Badarian also disclosed that the choice to pit Paul against Davis wasn't made hastily. Following the cancellation of a scheduled fight with Canelo Alvarez, it was always in the works. According to him, Davis had been advocating for the fight for many years, and the way to Tank seemed obvious after the Canelo deal fell through.
What the fight against,
I think
a fight against Jake Paul ain't going to happen anyway. It ain't going to happen.
definitely
We can all believe it. Jake Paul
Eddie
knows
Hearn
it.
said it's 99% done.
Because you know what? Jake Paul's done a great job in hustling Eddie.
Yeah.
He's going to get so either Eddie's in on it or he's let this young man hustling.
Yeah.
And so the kids kidded the kidders.
Well, listen, we've had a chat, we've caught up. We'll have another chat as well in a
We're going to do some sunbathing, man.
days, bit of sunbathing, top up the town.
Yes, I baby.
Might as well.
Black is the number.
Let us know in the comments below who you think wins the fight and what Anthony Joshua should be doing next. Do you agree with us? Do you disagree with us? Let us know in the comments below. This has been another episode of Froch on Fighting. Got the main man here, Johnny Nelson, aka
Blick man.
We'll see. He said it, not me. We'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Just here at Los Naranjos in Viva, España, and I found out that Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been playing?
Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis are clearly different in size, according to Badarian. Although Paul is taller, heavier, and has a longer reach, he feels that Davis has a significant advantage in talent and experience that cannot be overlooked. For more than 10 years, Tank has been a successful professional. He is a lightweight fighter with numerous knockouts, an almost perfect record, and world titles. He has proven to be versatile, fast, have exceptional timing, and be able to injure opponents in a variety of ways. Paul, however, hasn't encountered many opponents of Davis' caliber despite growing experience.
It's going to happen November 14th.
Whatever weight they want, man, they're talking about it, and whatever it is, there's going to be a definitive outcome. People can talk about pro, exhibition. We're going to make sure this is as real as it's real.
Why was it, just out of curiosity, why is it not a professional bout and why is it an exhibition? Because I'm sure Jake would have taken the professional bout.
Nothing's been communicated as yet in terms of what it is, right? Similar to, if you remember with Paul Tyson, when we announced it, we didn't have the weight, we didn't have the rules, particularly in terms of the number of rounds, the minutes, the gloves. It's going to be the same thing here.
Gotcha. Can you just offer us any insight as to how these negotiations went? The reason I ask is because I remember back in March, I was at Tank's fight. And after his fight in his press conference, he was asked, next opponent. He said, well, my next opponent might have been in my locker room tonight. And people asked him, was it Jake? He made reference, he made allusion to. Has this been an ongoing thing? And has it ever, been at a point where it wasn't gonna happen and came back, or was this always the plan?
Always been the plan for Jake to fight Tank once Canelo didn't happen. And to Tank's credit, he's a real bad dude. And he's been calling out Jake for 3 years. And people, it's funny how now they're saying size matters, Jake is big, when for so long it's been Tank would kill Jake Paul.
However, detractors like Joe Rogan admit that Jake has contributed to the popularity of boxing among younger people by creating buzz that many promoters were unable to. Whether Jake is truly prepared to take on a real fighter who is still in their prime is something Rogan questions. In actuality, Jake's greatest victories were against athletes who were either retired, switching from another sport, or not at their best. Conversely, Davis embodies exceptional speed, knockout accuracy, and years of top-tier professional expertise. Rogan questions whether Jake's commercial success can protect him from the brutal reality of a ring where no cameras, no followers can defend him. Although he admires Jake's bravery, he believes that this fight finally compels him to take on a youthful, dangerous, and far from worn-out opponent.
But so is the skill and experience difference. One man has been doing this for 23 years, since the age of 7. The other picked up the sport 5 years ago and has virtually no amateur experience. So the size difference is what makes this plausible. The king of the jungle here is Tank Davis. He is the lion taking on the young elephant that is Jake Paul. The lion is looking at me like he's about to eat me. The lion is fast, he's fierce, and he's fatal when he strikes. But the young elephant is big, powerful, and hard to knock down. And come Friday, November 14th, the jungle will be set in tropical Miami, Florida, and the world will be watching live.
The former UFC fighter and current boxing expert Daniel Cormier provided a novel perspective on Jake Paul's ascent. Paul's spectacle-driven battle with Mike Tyson on Netflix, according to Cormier, established a new standard for fighting entertainment. He maintained that although many people write Paul off as merely a social media celebrity, his enhanced abilities, dedicated training regimen, and willingness to take chances in the ring made him more than that. Paul, in Cormier's opinion, is changing the way boxing is perceived by the general public. And that in itself is a measure of success. Is this all a shrewd business decision? Or do you think the Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis bout is failing due to a lack of interest? Leave your comments below.